Welcome to Romance Unzipped, your happily ever after book club. I'm Holly.
And I'm Annie. We read, write, and obsess about all things romance.
Let's dive in.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Annie.
I'm Holly.
We are Romance Unzipped podcast, and today we are talking about...
My Dark Fairy Tale by Giana Darling.
And this is Sophie. Don't go, Sophie. Sophie's our doggie, my doggie. She's everyone's dog. She's jumping ship. She'll come back, though, because this book is that good. So this is a contemporary romance.
Yes, this is part one in a two-part series.
Do not get mad at us, people. This is a cliffhanger.
Just so you know, this is not a happily ever after. At the end of this one, you have to wait for the second book. And that comes out in October.
Yeah. So I read it because I love the author, Giana Darling, and I read everything she writes. But I was a little hesitant because a cliffhanger hurts me, especially if it's that far away, because I get really invested, and then when the next one comes out, I kind of have forgotten.
Did you know it was a cliffhanger?
I think so.
You could have given me that information.
Oh, I didn't tell Holly. So we hadn't done a Mafia, and I had started reading this, and I texted Holly, and I said, I have the pick. But I neglected to tell you.
That's okay.
Fortunately, she is not someone who is passionately hateful
handle
of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's okay.
But you recognize some people cannot.
Just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, and just, it's always sad to see a one-star review for an author just because the person didn't know it was a cliffhanger. I was like,
that's unfair.
It isn't unfair. So that's just an aside. So this is a contemporary, dark mafia romance.
Mm-hmm. What other tropes do we have?
It's set in Italy, so it's kind of like a naive, sweet girl abroad in in a stranger in a strange land kind of place. A little bit, definitely fairy tale-ish because the setting is so fantastical.
He lives in a castle.
Yeah, he's
the trope is billionaire.
Capo di Capi.
Yes, he's the head of the Tuscan mafia branch
Camorra.
that he's a part of.
Yeah,
Camorra. Yes.
Reluctant mafia boss, but turns out quite good.
Yeah, he's good at it. He tried to get away from his family, but then his dad died, and in order to protect the rest of his family, he had to step into the role.
As one does when one is an alpha, hot Italian prodigal son of a mafia boss.
The tropes that I really liked that this book had was he was super protective, not nice to anyone except for her. They had an age gap.
11 years. So she's 23, he's 34.
Yes.
Which isn't a huge age gap, but it was age gap enough.
Yeah, and it was just highlighting the difference in experiences, because here he is in charge of a bunch of people, and he's gone around the world and come back to this calling almost that he didn't want to take up.
Yeah.
And she has been sheltered her whole life, and it's her first time out of the nest. In fact, she's lying to her parents the whole time because they've made her promise that she won't go to Italy.
Yeah, her dad has a secret reason.
I am assuming the secret reason is going to come out in book 2.
I mean, how is he not part of the mafia?
It comes up a couple of times. He says, oh, I left that country when I was a young man. You can never go back.
There's no reason to go.
We won't even talk about it. And so, of course, she's drawn like a moth to a flame.
She wants to know about her father's country, where she came from. So she has this calling to go. And then another trope is she has a chronic illness. She has a kidney condition. And her sister, her older sister, had donated one of her kidneys.
Yes.
And then we are led to, the book
says that the sister has died.
Gemma. So her older sister kind of lived this life that she always wanted to live because she was so, she was always in the hospital. She was, like Holly said, very sheltered. And so she was very advanced academically, professionally. She was very kind of like cultured, but then she had no social experience. She'd never dated. She'd really never kissed anybody. And her older sister, Gemma's kind of the wild child who's always encouraging her to live her life. Gemma had been like living all over the world and then mysteriously dies.
Yeah, she went to Albania on a work exchange or...
I think she's like an influencer or
maybe.
I don't know,
and
something.
Then she had a heart attack, I think, as a young mid-20-year-old woman.
But they didn't go to Albania for a funeral. I think there wasn't any kind of
Oh,
talk
that's
about
right.
how
Because she had never left the country.
she'd never left the country.
So that's just, it's spoken of when she talks of her sister, she misses her, she loves her, she is an inspiration.
Inspired. Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't talk as if, oh, this is unfinished business. What a mystery. She just thinks
we feel that
But
way.
yes, as readers, it seems pretty clear that in some way, Guinevere's sister and her dad are going to get tied into this whole meandering plot. And there's also this little part towards the beginning of their relationship where he's the caretaker and she's really sick. And
Oh, yeah.
he brushes her hair and he carries her to the bathroom at night because she can't walk. Because the meet cute, the way these two find each other is her car breaks down and there's this whole kerfuffle and she's running through a field trying to escape this man who's pursuing her. And she jumps into the street right as Rafa is driving by and he hits her with his car.
His Ferrari.
Right.
And so there's always a meet cute, like classic meet cute is you run into the person, right? You run it like the woman or the
drinks
man or
spill
whoever.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's always like you run into each other, and this was a next level run-in.
So she was injured from that and then also sick because she just got done traveling and just, I think, a regular sickness, maybe compounded by the fact that she has this chronic illness.
Yeah.
So he had to take care of her and he was so doting and taking care of every detail.
And he never is nice to anyone.
Yes, we find that out through the other side characters that she's meeting as she's recovering and trying to get her bearings, that he's not usually like this. He's very pragmatic. He's a gentleman. That's how he's known. That's his mafia name.
Gentleman mafioso.
But he's not kind or nice. He just he's kind of all business except for with Guinevere.
She's the exception.
Yes, he's drawn to her. And we see point of view from both of them.
Yes,
So
point of view.
when they meet, it's his point of view. Or maybe he's just talking about it shortly thereafter, but he's saying, I need to just leave her on the side of the road. I don't have time for this right now. In fact, he had a body in his trunk as he's driving, but he can't say no to her. He just sees part of him. It's not pity that he feels, but he sees this perfectly naive, innocent creature, and he just has to protect it.
Yeah, he's compelled to protect her. He doesn't know what comes over him.
And he also has this whole vibe where she makes him feel like he could be different. He could be better. He could be somebody that is a good person at heart. So he not only wants to protect her, but she's wakening up this part of him that he wants to believe still exists. He's fine. He seems to almost enjoy the mafia side of things. He will...
AKA killing.
Yeah, in this book, he beats someone to death like with his bare hands. And he doesn't seem to have remorse about that.
No.
But at the same time, he does want to believe that he's got more to him, that he has a kindness somewhere in his heart.
Yeah. I saw someone had called this a dark mafia fantasy. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that description because it is a fantasy. Like our last episode, we reviewed Thirsty by Mia Hopkins. And, you know, on paper, there are some shared associations, like a criminal world, like a hierarchical organization. And then they're very different, though. One is like a very realistic portrayal of what it might be like to live within that structure. And then this one is this, like, she's in a palazzo and she's in these beautiful dresses and he's gorgeous and he's a billionaire and he's got all these fancy cars. And
yeah, and part of the fairy tale feeling that I got when reading it was from the setting.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely tribute to Italy.
Yeah.
Guinevere in the book, the reason she's gone to Italy is because she just has such a love of Italy and this calling, and it's where her dad came from, but he won't talk about it.
No.
He's very...
Hush, hush.
Yeah, he won't even mention why he doesn't want to go back.
He's like aggressively quiet about it.
Yes. So that just probably stokes her curiosity more, but it's not just that her dad's from there. She just wants to immerse everything about the culture. She loves the
art,
countryside,
the food,
the art,
the architecture,
everything she encounters. And he is Italian and he's rich and he embodies and has access to those things that she loves. That's part of the fantasy. So it's really fun if you like Italy.
Yeah, or just the fantasy of being swept away, and it isn't cheesy. So quick times, we did our tropes. Let's tell people who the characters are.
Sure. So Guinevere is
23.
the main character. She's 23. She's
from the U.S., East Coast somewhere. She's petite. She has rich, dark hair. She has like lighter skin. She's a white woman, but kind of fair to olive. She has dark eyes.
Mm-hmm. And she's going to work for her dad's wealth management firm, and the job is waiting. And this is her 6 weeks chance to live a little before she has to start this job.
Yeah.
So when she's with Raphael, at one point during the book, she uses her expertise and her knowledge to figure out some problems that he's having.
Of course. So she's brilliant, and she's very capable and poised, but then she's also like super sheltered. The only reason she went on this trip is because she set aside money herself from jobs that she had, because her parents would have never allowed her, because A, they were super protective of her because she spent so much time in and out of the hospital, and then B, her older sister died while traveling.
And C, her dad has this weird hang-up about never going to Italy and never talking about it.
Yeah, so that's definitely not suspicious. Given this is a mafia book. So she is this person, and it starts with her, she's just like starry-eyed is kind of the...
Yeah, I think she comes across to other people maybe as naive, but as you get to know her, she's not naive. She just has this vitality, and she's very curious and adventurous. It's just she's never had an opportunity to satisfy any of those feelings inside of her.
Yeah.
So everything is amazing. It's like a little kid at Disneyland.
Yeah. And she is learned, so she has had access mentally to all this information, and this is her first time to see it in person. Also, side note, that relates to sex too. She does like dirty books, and so she has this like hot lady beast inside of her that has had no outlet. She's never seen like a naked man before. I don't think she'd had like a chaste kiss in junior high maybe, but there's never
that's
even
the
been
extent of her experience.
Yeah, so she is
and
ripe for the picking.
He's pretty happy about that.
Of course.
He likes to be her teacher.
Yeah, there's a definite little teacher kink going on there, not only with his culture, because he's like, it's to teach it, but then also with sex.
Yes,
so,
that runs through their whole relationship.
So he is Rafa.
Raffaele Romano, goes by Rafa.
Yeah, and he is unsurprisingly tall.
Mm-hmm. Very muscular, corded muscle that you can see.
Can you believe
ripping through his shirt? What are the odds?
I know. I mean, I was surprised personally. I was like, really? He's fit? I wouldn't have guessed that this would be where this would go.
Devilishly handsome.
Oh, that was a surprise too.
Mm-hmm. He's got dark, thick brows and kind of light brown eyes, angular face.
Yeah, dark, wavy hair. Very beautiful color-changing brown eyes that range from pale maple, which is quite a description, to what were some of the other ones? Like
caramel, I think syrupy.
Yeah, they change color with his desire level.
But they change color from one light brown to another light brown.
Yeah, it's a scale.
It's just some kind of taupe.
Yeah, and his skin is a olive brown, and one of the first days that she's able to like be up and about in his palazzo, and she finds him out on the beautiful balcony, like having his quintessential Italian moment with his espresso and his coffee, and he's sitting there in like slacks, like very Italian man, with no socks and leather loafers, and she's like, I don't understand why I'm so like, I find this scorchingly hot.
His ankles are really doing it for her.
Yeah, so that's when she describes his skin tone. But we also see throughout these descriptions, he's a very stylish man.
Oh, yeah. In the setup where her car broke down and then she's being pursued and she's running away, she lost her money, her driver's license, her passport, all of her clothes. She's got nothing.
Helpless.
So he's able to help her.
He like legitimately, if he has any kindness in him, he can't leave her because she has nothing. Yeah. So but she's happily there at his mercy.
Mm-hmm. A few times she is worried, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want you
that's
I'm going to pay you back. She's got some of that.
I'm going to pay you back.
And he's saying, would you stop? Like, you can tell I'm a wealthy man. This is not a problem for me.
Yeah. you can pay me back with sex. Just kidding. He never says that to her.
He says it with his light brown eyes.
Yeah. When they change to like, I don't know, latte brown. But he isn't peacock at all with his fashion. Like there's nothing, he's not ostentatious. He's just very, you can see this confidence, and he's very charismatic. Everyone loves him. Everyone is aware of his station. Everyone knows who he is.
Everyone is afraid of him too. Not his inner soldiers that live at this palace with him. I don't think they fear him. They respect him a lot.
Yeah.
But the whole town, anybody out in the street, they recognize him. If they see him, they go, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, they don't F with him. But they like him. He also is
generous to the community.
He's generous. So there's this whole setup, right, of these worlds colliding. So she's this like kind of sweet ingenue from the United States who probably comes from a mafia family. I'm just going to go ahead and call it, you guys, sorry. And she lands herself hot in the middle of the heart of, Tuscany's most powerful Camorra leader. And so we have like these two pieces at odds, and there's someone trying to take over his power empire. And a lot of the book is this kind of mystery of like, who can it be? What are the inroads? Like these kind of attacks that are happening in multiple ways against them physically and financially. Hollie was saying about these contradictions and how he has this man inside that is reawakening after he describes it as having to kill this version of himself off when he comes back from London when his dad dies. And his dad had made him into a brutal killer at a really young age. And so he loathed his father and his cruelty and, disavowed it all, but came back, of course, to protect the women. But he has this kind of contradiction. So yes, he's feared and people know not to mess with him. And like, there's these moments where he, kicks people's butt if they look at Guinevere wrong, but also people admire him and he's not this like terror figure. And part of that is he's kind of revolutionizing mafia politics essentially, because as he's come back, like one of his underbosses would always beat his wife, and so he killed the underboss.
Just killed the guy.
Made his wife the underboss, and so he's doing these things that many people in the traditional structure don't approve of, because he's kind of disrupting what is acceptable, and he's shifting away from like drugs and these kind of more violent behaviors, although not completely, and into like agri-mafia, like counterfeit olive oil, for example, or wines, and like designer goods that are counterfeit.
And they were getting into solar farms or wind farms, just alternative energy.
Yeah,
because there was money to be made, and he's a shrewd businessman above all else.
Yeah, so he's not this like horrible monster, and so the community recognizes him as such, and also he's incredibly charming and attractive.
And he spends all this money trying to revitalize cultural institutions around town.
Yeah,
and attends galas, and he's dressed in the super fancy clothes. So he's so charismatic.
We love him.
He's irresistible.
He's irresistible. It's Rafa. What are you going to do? We love an anti-hero. Just one last thing about Rafa's appearance is he has these overly long canines.
Oh, yeah. He's wolfish.
Yeah, and his family's crest is a wolf.
He also really enjoys biting her and seeing his teeth marks on her.
Oh.
He like bites around her nipples, and he bites her thighs. And he is so into claiming her that I think she likes it too.
Oh, yeah.
She likes to see the teeth marks and then the bruises.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's into it for sure.
Yeah, but many times she looks over at him and just sees his big teeth. And
so
sometimes
it's kind of this like a little bit wicked when he smiles. Like he looks amazing, but then there's this like kind of dangerous predator, of course.
And he calls her his little fawn, his little doe.
So big eyes. Like a little shaky new land, but beautiful. And he kind of wants to eat her. So
he does.
Yeah. And there was just one moment I love clothes. I just was realizing today I'm kind of like have Kimmy Gibbler vibes.
Wow. That's great.
I don't know if it's like the poof, but anyways. But she screams, I don't know if it's a nightmare or something, and he comes running into the room because it's when she's still sick and can't get up on her own. And he's in low-slung black silk pajama pants and like a long silk bathrobe that's really, light, and it's open and flowing behind him. And I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
you sound highly attractive.
Where are all these mafia
Yeah.
Italian mafiosos?
With heart of gold and great fashion. And beautiful palazzos. So, reader, beware.
I like the side characters that are in his orbit.
Yeah, there's a great side characters.
So he's got his, I don't think she's the consigliere yet. I think she's kind of in waiting. But this woman that seems to be
Martina.
one of his best friends, Martine, she's like ex-military. She's really like a ball buster. I mean, intimidating. You can tell from the first scene that Guinevere is a little bit...
Yeah, are you going to stab me?
Yeah,
or
I
are
can't
you
quite
here
tell
to
what
help?
she's doing. But by the end, of course, they're good friends and she's showing her affection. But this woman just gets business done. And then there's a couple other soldiers that are in his inner circle that hang out in the palazzo where most of the book takes place in his house.
Yeah.
Or in his castle.
Yeah, they're
his
like
palazzo.
his team.
When they come together, they work well together. There's a lot of problem solving because the plot of the book is Rafa is in charge of one of the mafia that's in Tuscany, but there's others in Italy, and they're kind of vying for power.
They're frenemies.
Yes, and someone out there has tried to kill him just right before the book starts.
In every area of his criminal and regular financial world, there's these kind of a pushing at the boundaries of like where's the weaknesses. And so as the book goes along, these attacks are escalating, and at the same time as these escalations
the external escalation, their love story is escalating.
Yes, and it's very fraught, while beautiful, and fantasy, because they have a time limit. She has 6 weeks, and then she has to go back and start a new job.
He doesn't want to tell her that who he really is.
I mean,
I think part of it is that he just doesn't tell outsiders his business. I mean, that's not great for a mafioso to just blab a lot.
yeah, he's not like, hey babe, I'm a VP of the bank.
Check out this guy I just killed. But also, he's afraid he's going to scare her away. When he looks at her, he can tell she just loves, I think he can tell she loves him.
Yeah.
But she looks at him with such reverence, and he knows he's kind of a bad guy, and he doesn't know how she will respond if she knew the truth.
Yeah, so this mounting inner tension of him falling for her more and more, and also seeing how she actually fits really well into his world, because she has this backbone, because she is kind of this fawn, this like baby deer kind of finding her legs, but at the same time she doesn't let anybody F with her. Like this woman who everyone was trying to set him up with, totally tries to mean girl Guinevere and like throws a drink on her, and Guinevere just is like, oh no, and like has the absolute
stands
playback.
up, just grabs Rafa and just makes out with him right in front of her.
I got what you want.
Yeah, while she's just dripping in wine.
Yeah. So he sees her have this spitfire to her, and also she reads him, and as they interact with different characters throughout the book, she's always on like Team Rafa. Like there's this police officer that comes up and introduces himself as such, and there's backstory, and she can tell that Rafa's tense, and so she's like very like
She just steps in, interrupts, and redirects the conversation.
Yeah, she doesn't question him about it later either, and he's like, oh my gosh. And then she uses her math skills twice to solve these unsolvable mysteries of who's skimming money, also where these ships
what these
coming
companies
for.
are and how they're handling the logistics of the takeover that they're trying to do.
Yeah, because she's kind of a pattern genius. So she can look at these patterns of numbers and see things really quickly, much unlike myself.
He's the anti-hero and she's the anti-Annie.
She's the anti-Annie. I'm like, oh, low financial literacy. As these things continue to occur and she continues to show like how well she fits in his world, he's kind of like, she's giving me this consent slowly. You know, it's like she's
starting to learn. She knows he's got a lot of enemies.
She knows he breaks people's hands.
Yeah, some just random dude insulted her in the street, and Rafa went up to him and broke his finger and took his driver's license out of his wallet and said, "I'm going to come find you if you don't apologize." And I mean, he just went like real aggro on this old dude.
Yeah, and everyone kind of defers to him. And yeah, so he is feeling this sense that, okay, this might work, but also I'm scared to show her all of it because A, I'm a criminal and I don't want to destroy my whole family and the empire if she's against it. And B, what if she hates me because I'm this person?
And there was one other big element that he was worried for her safety because he knows they're coming for him.
Yeah.
And it's obvious when they're out and about. Everyone can tell that these two like have eyes for each other. So he recognizes the threat that would be against her if she's on his arm.
So all of these pieces, and I love Giana Darling's writing. I mentioned before that I read everything that she writes, and when I first started like really going nuts on romance novels, when I first got this digital subscription, because I'd always read books before, checked them out of the library, maybe bought them, went to the little lending libraries, you know, the little houses in people's driveways. I used to have one, and so I would always read books that way. But then when I had this digital world at my fingertips, I went nuts for a couple years.
That's when
I was like, excuse me, I'll be back in 2025. One of the first books that I read by Giana Darling was her Fallen Men series, and it's this motorcycle club. It's set in Vancouver, British Columbia, randomly the home of all motorcycle clubs. And the first book I read was Welcome to the Dark Side. And so the president of the motorcycle club is named Zeus. And like that was a legit age gap. It's like 17 years. And the girl, Lulu, and it's so hot. And I was like, this writing's amazing and this book is really hot. And so I ate up the whole series, which at that point had been published, so I could just like consume them rapid fire. And yeah, just her writing is easy to get lost in. Her descriptions are really evocative of this moment or this time. Like I felt like I was in Florence. I could feel like the color and the heat and the food and
her descriptions were great because she would describe it just from a setting standpoint, and then she would also have Guinevere describe how she felt and how it lived up to her childhood visions and kind of had more of an emotional link to what she was seeing. So the descriptions really hit you from multiple sides, and it was immersive.
It is immersive, yeah.
And what she really did well, there's a lot of Italian words in the book because many of the times when they're speaking to each other, it's in Italian. And she really uses them for emphasis. So it's when they are having sex scenes and it's starting.
Figa.
Yeah. It's starting to get more heated, then he'll start talking in Italian. Or when he is worried about an attack coming, there'll be more Italian. I thought it did a good job to kind of
passion.
Yeah, demonstrate to the reader like, ooh, there's some passion here. There's more intensity. You need to pay attention. And then the paragraph with the Italian words would just conclude, and at the end of that, then there would be the translation of what those words were.
Yeah.
And the Italian words were italicized. So you didn't lose the momentum of the paragraph. You could tell what was happening still, but then just a second or two later, you could read what the words were. And sometimes in context you could tell, but almost everything was translated.
Yeah, it was well done.
She really pulled it off because sometimes when there's two languages, it gets really clunky because I don't want to read the same thing twice in a row. And so she nailed that.
Yeah, I agree. And once she'd introduced a word, she didn't repeat the translation of it.
Yes.
It's like, you're smart enough to know.
Or if there was a word in one context and then it was in a slightly different one, usually she did a pretty good job of knowing whether or not like I remembered or I needed a refresher.
Yeah. So I really like her as an author. check out her books, go to her website, support her. We want her to keep writing.
So she has a lot of books in dark romance, but this is her first Mafia.
Yes, this is her first Mafia. Holly, we forgot to say, what's the steam level?
I think I would go with a 3 or a 4 using the romance.io rating. It's definitely
4.
Definitely explicit.
It's explicit.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And as far as actual sex goes, there's not that much, but there are a lot of scenes where he's either it's oral sex or he's
finger bang party.
Found another way to reach his hand up her skirt.
Or bite her boobs.
Yeah, or leave a ring of teeth marks around a
ring
body
of fire.
part. There's a lot, and he's got a pretty filthy mouth.
Yeah, it's very sensual, and it's just dirty, actually.
Yeah, but it seems more sophisticated because half of the dirty talk is in Italian.
Yeah.
And then it'll say what he just did to her, and then you get the translation. You're like, oh, so that's why he did that. That's why he called her that.
Sometimes, if there's a trope, then sometimes the main character, if it's a man and he's like an alpha with a dirty mouth, there can be a repetition of things that are said. And Rafa, I really liked how Giana Darling wrote this because he was this quintessential, like a kind of alpha hot male, but also he was unique, and I felt like he was a new character that I hadn't read before, which was fun. Like he reads her Dante while she's convalescing, and so yeah, he's this kind of rich, rounded person who's very cultured and interesting. I didn't feel like it was reading this contrived character. Like I appreciated his thought process and how he navigated the world. And he was dangerous, but he was also a gentleman. So it was, I think, a 4 with the explicit level. But then the amount of like penetrative sex was probably a 2. But then the amount of sexy time adjacent was like a 4.
Yes.
Frequency.
There was a lot of oral sex going on.
Yeah.
In various ways. There was a whole vineyard scene with wine.
Yeah.
And then he used olive oil as lube at one point. It was really
homage
to
to
the
Italy.
Italian culture. Yes.
That's hilarious.
We could do their tourism. Just
DM us, Italy.
Yeah, if you need a duo. There's some really good ideas that we read in romance novels.
Yeah, so we had in our previous episodes used the romance.io scale, which is like, 5 is explicit and plentiful, etc., and kind of goes down, and 1 is basically hand-holding. And what I have seen in some book reviews on Reddit, especially, I love the reviews on Reddit, is that people will use that ranking and then also the frequency of the spice, which I think is a good indicator because sometimes it's like super spicy, but there's one sex scene. So this was like second to third base at a like 4 medium high frequency, but then
I didn't think of second base as quite as some of the things
that's
that
true.
they've done.
It's like really
second base with teeth marks
yeah
around your nipple. It's like spiking the second baseman.
We're sneaking to the romance world. They're
okay.
Sophisticated.
Anyway, there was a lot to
Let's
keep you entertained.
take baseball out of it.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Okay.
But it is slow burn because she has to convalesce for a while.
Yes, and they both want to have sex, and she really wants to lose her virginity, and he really wants to take it from her, and they're both enjoying this teacher kink going on. And yet, for somewhat hard to pin down reasons, they don't have sex till like 60% of the way, or maybe even later in the book.
I was like, can we go ahead?
There's just delays. Things, they're about to, and then they have to go to a party, and then she falls asleep, and then somebody tries to kill him, and there's just always something going on.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like people would work a little harder.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
They get their action. Lot of him putting his hand on her thigh while they're driving, and then his hand kind of strays.
Yeah.
A little closer to home.
Yeah. To home.
Home plate.
So, she breaks up with him at the end because she catches him red-handed.
somebody breaks into the house and has got her cornered in a closet and is about to kill her. And as he raises the gun to her head, she hears the bullet go off and feels blood on her face. But it's not her blood. It was Rafa who got there just in time and shot the person that was about to kill her.
Yeah, and then he like aggressively puts the rest of the bullets in the body.
Yeah, stands over the body.
And that's the thing that puts her over the edge. And she's like, "How dare you?" I'm like, "Come on, Guinevere."
Her reaction felt over the top. Now, first of all, she is being willfully ignorant throughout the book.
Yes.
And her reaction does help illustrate that because there are just so many clues along the way. And even Rafa at the end says, "Yeah, I mean, I didn't tell you all this, but
how dumb are you?
I was letting you into my world and you were seeing these clues. I had blood on my shirt when we danced that first time and my knuckles were all cut up."
I have soldiers who come to my house.
Yes.
Everyone loves and fears me.
So he is even calling her out on, don't act like it's true, I kept secrets from you, but don't act like I was being, like that I wasn't genuine with you. I was genuine. You just weren't seeing the clues.
Right.
But also, even with that, her reaction was really over the top because it was a scary moment. She was just about to die. And the only thing that stopped that was that he
saved her.
He shot the guy pointing a gun at her head.
And one could say, you appreciated the handbraking from the man who called you a mean name on the street.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you understand if you're overly alpha, super protective man
in his own home
caught someone about to shoot you, and it wasn't like he like hacked the body up and then ate it. It was like he just used the rest of the bullet. And then she loses her
And I think what made her
mind.
lose her mind is it's not that he killed that guy, but that he acted so
flippant.
Yeah, flippant about it, that like he must do this a lot. He doesn't even care.
Yeah,
it wasn't
he just
even
was
a big
like
deal.
these cold blank eyes, and she's like, oh, and so she runs like a deer,
And
covered in blood, to the police station.
Also thought this part was a little unbelievable because she's in her nightgown, she's barefoot, she's just like experienced extreme trauma, and she just takes off on foot. And
no one touches her.
Nobody caught her. He's got a bunch of race cars. He also has feet.
He has a security team. He has soldiers. He has security cameras.
And she runs all the way to the police station in the town that's right there. And once she gets there,
she almost turns him in.
Kind of raises her hand and knocks on the door, and she says, "Oh, but I can't. Like, what's stopping me? Oh, even though." And it's not that she says to herself, "Oh, but I love him so much I can't turn him in." But she is saying, for some reason, I just can't make myself do it. He's a killer. He's terrible. He's been lying to me, but I just can't betray him. But because she's standing at the police station,
covered in blood
and
half
bone,
naked,
I think.
Yeah, and bone, and like brain
sobbing,
matter.
Yeah, then the police are like, "No, you can't just leave now." And they grab her and take her in. And so then she thinks, "Oh, what have I done?"
Turns out.
Yeah, the police officer that interviews her is just
mafia
working with Rafa.
Meat.
Because she does explain a little bit of what happened, but she doesn't say his name. She's resolved to not narc on him. Yeah, she is protecting him. But he shows up anyway, and he's all in a perfect suit. And he doesn't look like anything happened. And meanwhile, she's still covered in blood. And she says, how could this be? How are you here? I didn't even mention your name. And that's when he's like, come on.
Yeah.
How did you not put the pieces together? And that's pretty much where it ends. She's saying, I hate you. Walk out of here. She gives him this sick burn of a Gone with the Wind quote.
Yeah. Ouch. So everything is on the table, but up in the air. And now we just have to wait 4 months.
That's what it comes down to.
Ah!
So what are we reading next?
Oh, next time we're going to read kind of in the same vein-esque. It's called My Dark Romeo by 2 authors, co-writers, L.J. Shen and Parker S. Huntington. And again, this is on our trend of books published within
recently?
This. Yeah. I think it was maybe the end of 2024, but it's part of a trio, and all 3 of the books are out, so there we go. And it is fantastical, but it's not a fantasy. It's contemporary, dark romance.
Okay,
and it's
looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll have an adventure. And join us. We love it. We love talking about romance with y'all.
Okay. Goodbye.
Happily ever after.